I will repay you whatever more you spend. Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? He said, the one who showed him mercy. Jesus said, go and do likewise. This is the word of our Lord.
Thanks be to God.
It's been quite a week. It's been a heck of a first start here. But it's been a week that's been seemingly filled with death. In 2 weeks' time, there's been a car accident that took several lives. This congregation lost a beloved member. And if you turn on the news for 5 seconds, you hear about shootings in Minneapolis, and then you hear about tragic shootings and bombings in Dallas. And if you watch the news for 5 seconds even longer, you're going to hear about Bangladesh and Baghdad, where people are being bombed and blown up. It seems like death is what surrounds us these days. Losing loved ones in tragic ways, lives being senselessly taken from this world in the most horrific way possible. We're inundated constantly with pictures of death and of the horrors on the news, bombings, shootings. So the question the lawyer asks about how do we inherit eternal life certainly seems to be a poignant one for us this day. How do we inherit eternal life, the lawyer says. It strikes a deep chord in us because we want the confirmation that this life is not the end. That in some way, shape, or form, that when our mortal bodies fail, there is something beyond us, a communion with the divine. So the lawyer's question strikes us. What must we do to inherit eternal life? But in Jesus' fashion, like he does, he says, why don't you answer the question? Why don't you answer it, my brother? You're trying to test me, so you answer. You tell me what you must do to inherit eternal life. And the man says, well, you love God with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your soul, with all of your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. You've answered correctly, says Jesus. Do this, and you will live. Do this, and you will live, Jesus says. Jesus yet again twists it. The man asks about eternal life, and Jesus responds saying, you will live now. Not you're going to inherit some far-off place, but if you do these things, you're going to be living, truly living right now. The lawyer asks about heaven beyond, and Jesus answers about this time and place because Jesus is always saying that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is right now in this place, on this earth, for you to take part in. For we to take part in, all of us, present and now. I believe that there is, in some sense, an epidemic of this thought line going on in Christianity. It's this, don't hear me negating the ideas of salvation and eternal life, okay? I don't need anybody coming to my office this week and going, you said there's no heaven. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that there seems to be an epidemic that is the only focus. That's the only focus. How do I have fire insurance? How do I get myself saved from the fires of hell and into the pearly gates of heaven? That's our only thought mode. I want to just get to heaven. I just want to get to heaven. It's this Christian waiting game. We were down at the Outback Bowl 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Wow, that's a long time. 2 years ago. To watch Auburn play Wisconsin. And so we went to the parade beforehand because we thought really big to Tampa. So we're going to go downtown to Ybor City and watch the parade of the teams and all that stuff. And naturally, as is, a couple of gentlemen with their giant signs decided they had to grace us with their presence. Do you know where you will spend eternity? They boldly proclaimed. One of them even said, ask me why you are going to hell. She wouldn't let me ask it. So much of our faith journey has fallen on this belief of just across the River Jordan, a land just yonder, and playing the Christian waiting game. There's a song by John Mayer called Waiting for the World to Change. And this is just a piece of it. Now, if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on their door. And when you trust your television and what you get is what you got, because when they own the information, they can bend it all they want. That's why we're waiting. Waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair, so we keep on waiting. Waiting for the world to change. How many of you heard it? How many of you hummed along and sang along? This is a good song. Yeah, we're waiting on the world to change. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to stop waiting for the world to change around us and start changing the world around us. That's what Jesus is saying. He says, you're waiting for eternity, but it's time for you to live. It's time for you to live right now. The world's passing you by. Life is passing you by as you wait for heaven to come when you can be taking part in the kingdom here. That's why he flips it. He flips the script on a lawyer. And guess what, brothers and sisters? He's going to do it a lot. He does it in each of our lives every day. He's going to flip the script. What we think is going one way, we're probably going to end up going the other way. So how do you live? How do we live abundantly? Well, the lawyer answered, love God with all your strength. Take care of your bodies. This is not self-help motivation. Take care of your bodies. Be good to them. Be good to them. Eat right. Work out. Take care of them, because guess what? If they don't work, how can we serve? With all your strength. Be bold. Be courageous. Standing up for what we believe is not bullying. Don't bully people to believe what we believe, but stand firm in the faith. Be courageous in it. When Jesus says step out, step out. Say, yes, it's changed my life. Jesus changed my life. He can change yours too. And I want everyone to know what it feels like to know the love and grace of a God who has every right and reason to judge me, a sinner, as broken and should not care for me, but chooses to show grace and mercy. Our bodies are temples. Care for them. Use them to do incredible things in the name of God. Love God with your mind. I love being Presbyterian, and I will say it from this pulpit probably ad nauseum. You all are going to go, oh, good Lord. It never stops. I love being Presbyterian because I get to use my brain. And in fact, I'm encouraged to use my brain. I went to Reverend Bill, who was my mentor when I had become a Christian, and I had all these questions. And I said, well, what about this, and what about this? And he says, oh yeah, what about that? Well, tell me. And he said, no. See, Dan, we're Presbyterian, so I'm going to help you figure it out, but I'm not giving you the answer, because you have a brain in your head that is a gift from God, so please use it. Read, write. Read theology. Read the Bible. Pick up times and read. Use our minds. Don't simply take things at face value. The problem is that many are educated, but few are learned. We're Presbyterians, so we get to. ask questions and be curious. John Calvin, one of his biggest projects was to initiate schools so that the people could learn to read. I mean, it was totally for his, so they could read the Bible, but he thought the masses needed to be educated so that they could make educated decisions to better the world around them. This wonderful old woman at the church that in Donaldsonville, her name was Miss Miriam. She would always do this when her grandson left the house. And it started with, you have a brain, use it. So eventually it turned into, that's all she had to say. You have a brain, use it. It's a gift. It's a gift from God. It's a gift from God to be able to live in a place where we can go and learn, where we can be educated, where we can study, where we can ask questions. Not for the sake of asking them and being annoying, but for the sake of growth and understanding. We love God with our mind. We need to seek new things, go new places, discover life with curiosity and imagination. I took my ordination vows and they said, will you serve the people with imagination, curiosity? Yeah. It's a vow we all should take as we serve. How do we live? We love God with all of our heart. No idols, no money, no cars, no houses. God first. Not some flippant love, but God seated in our hearts so deeply that it is God before all else, before ourselves, before our loved ones. I know I'm going to get in trouble, before our country, but God before all else. You want to live abundantly, brothers and sisters? You put God before anything else, and you will live. To love God and to love the other. If we want to live, we have to relinquish our selfishness and our self-centered ways and recognize the other as a human being. To recognize our neighbor is everyone. Everyone. Because God says they are beloved children of God, and so we should too. From the poor to the rich, from the dirty to the clean, any race and religion. Yes, see, I have to say religion because the Samaritans and the Jews hated each other. Hated each other. Loathed each other. Saw each other as dogs. Yet, Jesus purposely points out that a Samaritan is the one who does up the issue. And it should be likewise the other way. Those we deeply disagree with. Those who push our buttons. Those who make us absolutely insane and mad. Those people, they are our neighbors. And brothers and sisters, I don't know how we can live, as Jesus says, abundantly with hate filling our heart. With prejudices and ignorance and dislike for the sake of dislike. I don't understand how that's living. How can we live life when that's what fills our souls? Life has to be empty and void if that's how we live our lives towards others. Because if that's how we see others, how do we see ourselves? If you love your neighbor as yourself and you hate everybody else, then we have to probably be hating ourselves deeply in some way. Be those self-loathers. N.T. Wright says, what is at stake? Then and now is the questions of whether we will use the God-given revelation of love and grace as a way of boasting our own sense of isolated security and purity, or whether we will see it as a call and a challenge to extend that love and grace to the whole world. No church, no Christian can remain content with easy definitions which allow us to watch most of the world lying half dead on the other side of the road. Jesus is calling us to live now, and to stop waiting on the world to change and start changing it. First, by loving God so much that it spills over to the entire world around us, and then loving everyone else unconditionally as God does. Brothers and sisters, it's just that easy. And it's just that hard.